This presentation is entitled Audubon Dark Sky. All right, so for all our birders out there, this will give a focus in on them.
I feel invigorated and small. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot out there.
It's definitely humbling for one thing, because it's so immense.
I was overwhelmed. It was amazing. I couldn't believe it before. It would be such an... it was wonderful. Yeah.
It was very overwhelming, having forever lived in cities, seeing lights that weren't man-made, and knowing that that is old light.
This incredible feeling of like just how great and wonderful the universe is.
Small, maybe in awe, humble, curious.
I feel that I'm in a natural environment. I feel like I'm privy to the legacy of the dark night sky that has been common to the entire human race for the last 99.9% of our existence.
I feel calm and inspired. I feel cool.
To be honest, like I slows my heart down, and because I'm religious, so it makes me feel like, I'm more closer to God than I was before, just being in a space where it's just dark and just admiring His creation.
Oh wow, it just blows me away. Like I feel so many different emotions, and it makes me like question everything and just think. I feel like insignificant and at the same time kind of inspired and just...
Pretty amazing actually. I've not had a chance to see a sky like this for a long time. I go camping a lot in Scotland and we do see quite a bit of dark sky, but not quite as good as this.
Nice. In a world that's collapsing around you, it's nice to be somewhere that's calm and beautiful.
Okay, as introduced, I'm Jim Webster. I am an amateur astronomer and astrophotographer. We're not going to talk about that tonight. That's not why we're really here. Member of Dark Sky International. We now have Dark Sky New Jersey, which is a chapter, for Dark Sky International. There's a number of groups like that, throughout the country. And we now have 5 advocates, and hopefully we'll be getting more active advocates as well besides myself. I'm also a SciStarter Ambassador. SciStarter also has elements into, the Dark Sky Initiative. It's a citizen science organization. It's a hub of about 3,000 programs, give or take, when projects begin or end. Globe at Night, which we'll talk about a little bit later, has been going on for years. And it would be a good project to be, done by, just about anybody. I've been doing it for several years, at my house in Holiday City down in Toms River. Anybody can do it. I like to say anyone from the age of 8 to 108. And in most cases, all you really need is a cell phone. And I've been doing all this stuff for several years. I still consider myself a beginner, and I always will, because there's always something new to learn. These are available presentations I have. Not really, part of this. I do, today's Audubon Dark Skies. I also have coastal dark skies, down, in the Jersey Shore area, as well as town hall type meetings. So if you want something to go before your environmental committee, for where you live, I have something for that, and we'll have one of the advocates, make an effort to get down there. Okay. If you want to learn more about the night sky, you can always go to your local planetariums. In my case, is Robert J. Nova's Planetarium in Toms River at the Ocean County College. International Dark Sky Association last year had gone through a rebranding, and they are now Dark Sky International. They've been around since 1988, founded by Dave Crawford, a professional astronomer, and Tim Hunter, a physician as well as an amateur astronomer himself. The National Audubon Society and Dark Sky International partnered to protect the night sky for birds and people in September of 2020, and that still goes on today. So light pollution affects us all. Their dark sky programs is conservation. Dark sky place programs to protect the public and private lands from light pollution today and long into the future. Dark sky friendly lighting, can be used, without polluting our, natural night skies. And grassroots advocacy, to join the worldwide network and grassroots advocates, leading the dark sky protection effort around the world. Now, I may stumble on some words, but I'm from Brooklyn, so that's expected. So they do focus on, celebrating the night sky, dark sky protection, lighting, where we live, and sky shed restoration. That's all the things that, you'll see with Dark Sky International. Protecting the night, only 2 in 10 people live under natural skies of darkness. To see the Milky Way, how far do you have to travel? How many people here have seen the Milky Way? All right, where have you seen it?
Mostly out in the desert.
Out in the desert.
Pennsylvania.
All right. Pennsylvania is actually a good place, based on what we talked about, what Dark Sky International is about. There's a place called Cherry Springs State Park. It's in north central Pennsylvania, and it's up in the mountains. So even if you're in the summertime, you're going to want to bring a sweater. But the dark skies are great there. It's also great outside the park because the communities around there had all partnered with the park for them to get that dark sky rating. And we've been up there. I've done Milky Way time lapse. If you go up on astra-nj.com, you'll see some videos that we made outside the park. We didn't even go in the park, and the skies are great. For us down in Toms River, New Jersey, on good nights, we can still see the Milky Way in Island Beach State Park. So only 2 in 10 people live under natural skies of darkness. Dark Sky International, global organization to work and protect the night skies, to protect the future generations, promoting responsible outdoor lighting. 99% of the US and Europe live under light polluted sky. You'll see this map here changing over the years, showing you just how bad light pollution is. So a place like Cherry Springs that we just mentioned, they're even endangered right now if we don't get light pollution under control. Back in 1994, there was an earthquake that hit Los Angeles at about 3 o'clock in the morning, and knocked the power out to the city. And when the people came out, to assess the damage, they seen something they never seen before, the Milky Way. And, there were people that, calling, the Griffith Observatory in a panic, the police stations. What's that strange milky thing in the sky? So there are generations of people now that do not see the Milky Way or even know what it is. So this is a loss of our heritage of the night sky. And, there's people now that, don't even know what it looks like. So what is light pollution? Light pollution is the excessive, misdirected, or obstructive artificial light at night that washes out starlight in the night sky, interferes with astronomical research, disrupts ecosystems, has adverse health effects. Yep, that's us. Waste of energy and money. There's generally three forms of light pollution: sky glow, glare, and light trespass. Sky glow is the dome of brightness on the horizon that obscures our view of the night sky. Sky glow is caused by misdirected light scattering through the atmosphere. And here we can see sky glow on the right of the image, and dark skies revealing the Milky Way on the left. A lot of your sky glow problem comes from street lights as well as floodlights. Glare is becoming a bigger problem for us, especially for us older folk when we're driving. It's pretty blinding, and for our eyes to adjust after something like that takes a lot longer. That's, your light vision. Light vision is important for stargazers. Once you get, hit with light, it takes, for us here in the room, I can tell, except for these two, they're younger than us. It takes about 20 minutes for our night vision to come back, where, kids, it takes them like 5 minutes, so they don't even realize what's going on. This last one here is called light trespass. Have you been kept awake at night, from light streaming into your bedroom? That's light trespass. It's when the light is falling outside of, the property's boundaries, it becomes a private property rights issue. Now, there's a lot of towns that are putting in light trespass ordinances. I believe Seaside Heights and Brick were like the last two down in my area, but that's all well and good if they don't enforce it. So enforcement definitely has to come with it. And here's all examples shown in this one image here from the National Geographics. There's really not much to have for useful light in there. A lot of it, will get bounced up, back into the sky, or just go straight there if the bulbs are not shielded, creating the sky glow. Then you get the glare going into your eyes, either from the street lights, the cars, or going, into the house, which now becomes light trespass. So why care about light pollution? Well, take your pick. We'll touch base on some of it. We mentioned human health, your neighbors, light trespass, visibility, when you're driving, animals are affected. Sea turtles is a prime example. When they hatch, if there's lights coming from inland, they will go towards the lights instead of going out to into the ocean where the water is shimmering from the stars and the moon. We recently went to Sanibel Captiva just before the storm, and that's a turtle sanctuary area. So those communities down there have it where 9 p.m. at night, your curtains have to be drawn. And if you have outside lights, they got to be red or amber, just for the protection of the sea turtles. Birds also require the same thing. And, birds are subject for this discussion, so we'll do that at the appropriate moment in the slides. Marine life is also impacted. Astronomical study is also impacted with light pollution, or for amateur astronomers. It's a big waste of money, and it's an impact on the planet. So we'll go through some of the ecological impacts here. Birds will get confused in the light. Migrating birds use celestial navigation and can lose their way, collide with buildings, or can get confused, lost, and exhausted. Here is a joint slide from the Dark Sky International and the Audubon Society just on that subject. So to continue on, there are a number of birds, like we said, that use the nocturnal migration. So of the 70, 70% of the terrestrial recurring birds are migratory. 80% of that 70% migrate at night. Yeah, burrow nesting seabirds are attracted, to and disorientated by artificial lights. The lights, induce landing, and they can be fatal depending on, they'll, crash into things. They'll stay grounded, which now opens them up for predators. And sometimes if they do try to get back up, they're crashing into fences and buildings. So it's an increasing problem all over the world, and it's negatively impacting seabirds as well. There are states now that do have laws on the books that during migration seasons, that certain areas will turn down their lights, at the migration time. Here's an organization called FLAP, Fatal Light Awareness Program, and they will display the victims of light pollution to raise public awareness. In that image, that's a lot of birds in there. Through SciStarter, there was a study, not just from light pollution, but from other reasons as well. The bird population is down 50%. So that's something that, we should all strive to turn that around.
Hi, I'm Alicia and I'm a producer. Think there's something you can do to help protect birds in 1 minute? Watch this. Many species of birds hunt or migrate during the nighttime hours. However, due to the brightening of the night sky from artificial light, birds' hunting patterns and migratory abilities can be disrupted. One source of artificial light affecting birds is from tall buildings and towers. On foggy nights, migrating birds are drawn towards lights in cities and may collide with lit buildings or circle them until exhausted. If you work in a high-rise building, it only takes a minute to talk to your boss or the building's landlord about the possibility of dimming or turning the lights off when the building is unoccupied. This will not only help the birds, it will also consume less energy and save the building's owner money. It's been estimated that 100 million birds in North America die each year due to a collision with lighted buildings and towers. But if you have even 1 minute, there's something you can do about it. Be the change you want to see in the world. Come on, let's show them what you can do.
There's also an ecological impact on plants. Trees and plants depend on the natural cycles of day and night. Artificial light at night can throw off the plant's response to the changes of the season. So they'll bud early and lose their leaves late, shortening their lifespan. And that is a food source for a lot of animals as well as birds. Same thing with insects. The study shows that excessive outdoor lighting is impacting how insects hunt, mate, and makes them more vulnerable to predators. About 500,000 of the insect species on Earth are nocturnal, meaning that artificial light can have a big impact on their natural life cycle. Now, I can't tell you as one example how it's impacting if bats start foraging at night. And in many cases, the bats will skim along the water, picking up insects as they go. But now insects are getting attracted to lights. So if you end up at the store and all of a sudden you're seeing like a big ball of insects, going around it, that's taking the food source and moving it for the bats. So now they got to work harder just to maintain their sustenance they need. They'll have to get water at one point, and then they're going to have to start going after the insects, where the light is, if they even go near there. So it makes life harder for them. And, we only have 9 species of bats here in New Jersey, with 3 of them being migratory and 6 of them here all year. And, brown bats are having a hard enough time right now as it is. And if we're taking their food away, that just makes it worse for them. So everything is a tight environmental issue. If you're taking one element away, it's going to impact the others. But here we're showing that we're impacting them all at the same time. Wildlife also falls into this. Frogs and toads will ribbit less, which impacts their mating cycle. Salamanders will come out later than normal, interrupting foraging time, so they're eating less. Artificial light sources on the edge of the forest disrupt the insectivorous bats, which all the bats that we just mentioned for New Jersey, they're all insectivorous. You have bats that are like down south, stepping away from New Jersey for a minute. They're pollinators. So how many people here like fruit? You can thank a bat. We don't want to disrupt those bats, because now that's taking food away from us too. Mammals' disruption of foraging behavior and upsets the balance for predator-versus prey. And we already talked about the sea turtles earlier.
Hi, I'm Jack, and I'm a firefighter. Think there's nothing you can do to help protect wildlife in 1 minute? Watch this. Wildlife can be harmed by too much artificial light at night. Many essential behaviors, such as mating, migrating, navigating, and finding food, depend on the ability to experience natural darkness. You can help restore this delicate balance to ecosystems. Make sure that any exterior lights you use are shielded and facing down. And consider using lights with a red or yellow tint, as long wavelengths are less visible to most species and can minimize impact. Have more time? See if you can start a local initiative to insist that lights on billboards face down rather than upwards, where they contribute to sky glow, glare, and clutter, all of which disrupt wildlife behavior. See, if you have even 1 minute, there's something that you can do to help. Be the change you want to see in the world. Come on, let's show them what you can do.
So here is the Bortle scale for the night sky. New Jersey right now is a lot of places are hovering at 6. Which really isn't good. This is also displayed out here in the main lobby here for the building here with the light sky exhibit that the Friends of Great Swamp had put together. So when we're done with this presentation, I would recommend you guys go checking it out. This also goes back to the other image of the progressively getting worse light pollution that we're experiencing. So what can you do? Unlike many environmental issues, light pollution is a problem that researchers say can disappear with the flick of a switch. Solutions include turning off unnecessary lights, putting shields on street lights, and direct the beam downward. That's a very simple way of referring to it, but it's a lot more complicated than just a flick of a switch, because we do need lighting. It's just a matter of having it as smart lighting, lighting, where we need it and only, when necessary. One way to help is with the program called SciStarter. SciStarter is a citizen science hub program, and they'll give you links into a program called Globe at Night. They also have some other environmental programs in there that would fit for the Great Swamp, and a dark sky page that was set up by the Montana Dark Sky Group. So there's a number of things in there environmentally and light pollution wise that you could find there. And SciStarter is at SciStarter.org. And there is also some Audubon pages in there as well. The Audubon Lights Out program in 1998 was established. The first Lights Out program in Chicago, and since then, groups in many other cities, states, and regions have organized programs to make a difference for birds. The strategy is simple. By convincing building owners and managers to turn off excessive light during the months of migration, birds that are flying overhead, we're helping them provide safe passage between the nesting and wintering grounds. While completely darkening cities isn't a practical solution, researchers are investigating effective migration strategies that balance human needs for light against the avians against darkness. The Audubon Society, of course, is committed to migrating birds and the problem associated with not having the dark skies. And through research, the Audubon has determined that while lights can throw birds off, their migration path, bird fatality are more directly caused by the amount of energy the birds waste flying around, calling out in confusion because of those lights.
Happens during the peak of fall migration, and birds that migrate at night use light cues in the sky and can get distracted and confused by lights.
We are counting birds, how many birds are in the beams every 20 minutes, and if the numbers get really high and the birds start going low, we ask if they can turn the lights out. Because they're part of the whole thing, and we should care about anything that's on this planet with us. I loved seeing the surprise on people's faces when they had no idea that birds even migrate, let alone at night, and then that they have obstacles. And the more people know, I think the better birds have a chance.
So that's a lot of birds in just that one evening. So some light solutions, aiming lights down where needed dramatically reduces the glare, increases visibility, and better illuminating the intended areas. You don't really need that many lights to have, things lit up where you need it. Up in Teaneck, there was a group that had their lights that we did a discussion with them, and they had 3 big floodlights. So they really only needed one light and to shield the light, and it still gives them the same amount of illumination for them to actually see. Another thing with with the lights as well is the intensity of the light. You don't really need it that bright. If you look on the light fixtures, is a thing, the Kelvin scale for how much illumination you need. It's recommended to be 3,000 to 2,700 as far as the lighting is concerned. And a lot of the street lights that they have now that are going LED, they're 5,000 or more. So they're saving money by putting the LEDs in, but they're making it brighter. So those potential cost savings that they talk about, if you're making it brighter, it's not really there. So they need to, bring the intensity down. And the reason is that the higher you go, you have hidden blue light. And hidden blue light is one of the things that has a health impact on us. And you'll see that, further into the slide deck. It contributes to several different cancers. They're saying it also contributes to diabetes as well and other illnesses. And you could find that on the WebMD online. So here are some light solutions. And you'll find it where it has Dark Sky approved, Dark Sky International. Some of the older fixtures may say International Dark Sky Association on it, like the street lamp that's here in the lower corner that says IDA. And yes, there are light fixtures for flagpoles where the light's actually shielded from the top coming down. So there's really no need, to have those big floodlights shooting up, because that's a contributor to the light pollution. If you look in Cherry Springs, in the towns around there, Cloudersport, PA, they have dark sky certified fixtures, throughout the town. So can we do more? Yep. Appreciation of darkness, get outside of the city, change your outdoor lighting. We had that one fixture up in the upper left. That's a fixture for your house. I have that fixture on mine right now. Voice your opinion to your community, schools, workplace, family, friends. Ask your town or city to make a change for public outdoor lighting. Here is some sample legislation for making improvements in the night sky. The biggest one here comes from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where they initiated light pollution ordinances at the city level. And they did this several years because Pittsburgh is looking to get their dark skies back. Now, I can tell you right now for New Jersey, with their environmental committee, they had a unanimous vote for changing the lighting for state buildings as well as state-sponsored projects, that they have to now look at being dark sky compliant. So it passed the committee, so it's actually gone further than it ever has before, and it was a unanimous vote. So now it's up for the state Senate when the bill comes up, and hopefully they'll pass it. And once that happens, we'll start looking at trying to get things going on at the county and township levels. I can tell you there are some towns that are already looking to initiate light pollution laws other than the light trespass. Hopewell Borough went all in for this, and they've made changes to their laws about the lighting, and people actually making changes to fixtures. And Hopewell Borough is now looking to see if they could get a urban dark sky rating, which means they're practicing for dark skies, even though the communities around them may not be, but they're doing it. There are other places in New Jersey that are also looking to do the same thing. It's just going to take them a little bit more time because they didn't start as early as Hopewell Borough. Recently, we had International Dark Sky Week. We went from April 2nd to April 8th to end on the same day as the eclipse. And we were able to establish 5 proclamations throughout the state recognizing International Dark Sky Week. So that's a big plus. We went from 1 proclamation from last year up to 5. And hopefully we'll get more, in the coming years. Even though it's a symbolic thing, but it's a good symbolic thing, so it's helping people become aware. And if anybody's interested in seeing that proclamation, it'll be sitting in Jakes Branch County Park when their light pollution exhibit comes online. No, I'm sorry. So when you're putting legislation in, here are some of the things to consider: limiting or eliminating of the allowed emissions of light directly into the night sky. Home outdoor lighting, street lights, billboards, flagpole lights should be shielded and pointed down. The use of sky beams, lasers, and similar high intensity lighting, we're looking to eliminate that as well. The use of lighttime lighting on waterways is a problem. That's also creating like trespass people down in the Jersey Shore area in some cases, but it also impacts the marine life, when where those lights are. So all this here that you're seeing on display right now in the slide deck, France is doing this. This is France's legislation. So, now we got countries that are involved, trying to, improve their night skies. And we just talked about, the restriction of emissions of blue light, bringing the lighting down, into the softer, light, ranges. So start, with your home or business to say an example. Here, the McDonald Observatory had these images here of before and after when the lights were changed in this particular location. Leading by example for the environment is another location here, the Wild Center in Tupper Lake, New York. And throughout the park, they have this particular light fixture here. Everything is shielded, pointed down. So, they're actually, not just talking about it, they're walking it as well. Island Beach State Park, with the amusement park and seaside communities being close by, does not have the deep, dark skies that we wish it could have, but it still can be impressive on a moonlit night for the Milky Way in Island Beach State Park. Astronomy Group does have permits to be in there at night. You can only go in here at nighttime if you have a permit. You can barely see the Milky Way, and the park is now working, with us to try to make improvements on that. This sky glow is coming from Long Beach Island. So our night sky belongs to more than just us. Losing the dark skies is about the impact it has on every living organism on our planet. Human advancement should not come at the cost of our environment, because in doing so, it'll impact us in the end. This is now in our future, and it'll get worse if we don't do something to stop the impact of light pollution. Be the solution. Protect the night sky starts with you. Light only what's needed. Use energy efficient bulbs and only as bright as you need. Shield lights and direct them down. Only use them when you need them. As well, choosing warm white light bulbs, at a lower power rating. And if you're interested, join Dark Sky International, and it's a good cause for us as well as the wildlife that we have. We want to make sure that the animals that are living here in Great Swamp have a decent place to live, and light pollution is one of the problems that they have that we should be concerned about. Today's presentation, these are my reference material that I used, and yes, that's me with my cat Penny, making any of my presentations I've done. And Makes it real interesting trying to get this stuff going. Unfortunately for us, Penny passed about 2 months ago. So in closing, we're going to leave you with this 6-minute video from Dark Sky International called Losing the Dark. This video is available on YouTube and can be freely used in any group organizations you have.
We live on the surface of a planet, spinning on its axis once every 24 hours. Its rhythms of day and night are embedded in the biological makeup of all life. During the day, we bathe in the glow of the sun. As night approaches, darkness takes over. It's a time to rest, to rejuvenate, to marvel at the beauty of the night. Until just over a century ago, our night skies were very dark. Now, even the wilderness is invaded by light. Our cities glow at night. Buildings are lit up. Unshielded lights blind us as we travel along our streets and roads. All these artificial lights overpower the darkness. The waste of energy is obvious, even from space. Much of that yellow glare the astronauts see comes from streetlights. They produce most of the light pollution on the planet. The glare is scattered by the atmosphere, creating sky glows over the landscape. We are losing the dark of night at the speed of light. Light pollution threatens the health of every living thing on Earth. Lights at night disrupt plant growth. Unshielded lights contribute to the deaths of countless land and sea animals each year. Migrating birds crash into illuminated buildings. Newly hatched sea turtles mistake the glow of electric lights for the shimmer of the ocean's surface. Bright lights at night also directly affect humans. Drivers and pedestrians temporarily blinded by poorly designed lights have suffered tragic accidents. Light pollution poses a silent threat to our health. Exposure to light at night disrupts the circadian rhythms that regulate our sleep cycles. People working at night under bright lights or living in light-polluted cities face a higher risk of developing diseases such as breast and prostate cancer. Here is a night sky with typical light pollution. On a good night, only the brighter stars and planets pierce the glow. This is what the night sky might look like if we could remove the light pollution. That faint band of light stretching across the sky is the Milky Way, our home galaxy. Because of light pollution, many people have never seen it. Astronomers know all too well the problems caused by lighting up the night. They need clear, dark skies to study the many fascinating objects in the universe. Light pollution simply washes out their view of the cosmos. Lighting up the night sky wastes money and fossil fuels. To keep a 100-watt light bulb turned on every night for a year takes the equivalent energy output from burning half a ton of coal. Multiplied by the billions of lights blazing up from Earth, the cost of energy we use to light up the night is colossal. While lighting is needed, there are some simple things we can do to ensure that it's neighborhood-friendly, energy-efficient, and helps preserve dark skies. We can replace light fixtures that send light up to the sky with ones that direct light down, exactly where we want it. They're called fully shielded fixtures. We can also illuminate only the places that need it. And of course, we can just turn off unnecessary lights. These are smart ways to use lighting. They offer simple solutions to problems caused by light pollution. We have a choice between wasting resources by sending light to the sky or learning to use light more responsibly. Light pollution is a problem each of us can help solve. Together, we can bring back the dark of night to planet Earth.
Okay, we're going to stop the sharing because that is the end of our presentation. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a comment.
Okay.
Well, first, thank you for illuminating this problem.
Thank you.
I wanted to say that I live in the town of Morristown, and they actually have dark sky compliant ordinances on the books.
Okay.
So I brought it in if you would like a copy.
Oh, most definitely.
And what people can do is they can go to their town councils or committees and ask if their towns are dark sky compliant. And if they aren't, they can ask their elected representatives, and that's the key, not the environmental commission, because they don't enact law. Ask the elected representatives to enact such ordinances. This happens to be under lighting, under design standards. If you are in one of 70 municipalities in New Jersey, you as a citizen voter can bring an ordinance to the ballot, which in the town of Morristown, they actually brought a noise ordinance banning the use of blowers from January through September. So that's one extreme thing you can do, but the other thing is to start asking. The first step would be to ask if your town has this kind of regulation, and the second step would be to attend your meetings, council meetings, and ask for it. So
Definitely, thank you. And for us with Dark Sky, New Jersey, besides Hopewell Borough, and now we have this here for Morristown, we're going to be adding links into light pollution ordinances for the state, and hopefully building a model light pollution ordinance that anybody can use with their communities, and we'll try making it available at darksky.newjersey.com, which will link off the Astra page as well. Thank you for bringing this. I really appreciate this. Anybody else? Okay. Sure.
I guess you noticed that the light pollution has gotten a lot worse in my lifetime, like the last 50 years or 55 years.
Yep.
It's definitely more than it was when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah, because nobody really considered light pollution being a problem. No one ever, even my own parents didn't, really consider it a problem. In fact, my father still doesn't think it's a problem, but hopefully over time I'll get him to realize that, yeah, it does have an impact on us and the environment.
the original World Trade Center was built without light switches because it cost too much to buy the equipment. so the lights were on all the time. I don't know how many other buildings are built that way.
Okay, yeah. I worked in 2 World Trade Center. Actually, my floors, I guess, you know, when it came later, they eventually did have light switches. But yeah, I remember seeing lights on there all the time, you know, walking around. Yeah,
You couldn't turn off the individual lights. You might turn off the whole building.
right.
But I leave the lights off.
I think we're okay. I don't want the glare coming from the top of my head bothering anyone. Anybody else?
Yeah, back in the 80s, I used to go down to an event held at night down around Colville. It had been all cornfields and, you know, farms there. It was turning into McMansions. And I noticed something, and I just wonder if they're still doing it. You build a big house and you put floodlights on it all night.
Yes.
Is that was that to show off what I had here, or was that to keep the goblins away?
No, I say it's the people that move out from Staten Island. I'm making fun. We used to live in Staten Island.
Yeah.
But it seemed,
Yeah. And the guy who goes from one room to the other, I put the light on. And I look at the electrical use alone, the way
Right.
it was.
Well,
and you began to see that you couldn't see the skies much anymore.
I didn't include it here because we were focusing more on the birds. There is also a concern about safety, which is why a lot of people have, you know, put too much lights out there, and it creates additional glare. So if there's a floodlight on, you're going to have dark shadowed areas. If anything's going to happen, it's because somebody's hiding in those shadows because the glare is hiding them. It's a big debate, you know, with law enforcement, you know, having more light or not. I tend to lean on having lighting only where it's needed. So if it's needed in particular spots because of safety issues, it could still be done. Just do it smartly. If there's any movement, you have light sensors on there and the light will go on and then go off after a while. And they're starting to get light sensors now to where they can actually start recognizing animals, you know, depending on, you know, how high tech you want to go with it. Light pollution has now become a, what do they call it? I can't remember the phrasing for it, but if you live in a particular area where it's a high crime area and they start putting floodlights, it's a social justice issue. Okay, so they start putting big floodlights out because it's a high crime area, but now those floodlights are streaming into everybody's, you know, windows in their apartments. So again, you know, you can have responsible lighting and safety at the same time. It's just that the both sides have to come together on it.
Recently, there was an owl in New York City, and the owl, they said, you know, flew into a pole and died.
Right.
And I'm wondering if that was because of the lighting in the area.
It's possible. It's definitely possible. Birds, you know, will fly into buildings, you know, because of the lights. Turning them off is better for them.
That particular owl had ingested a lot of rat poison.
Okay, so yeah, it's probably more of the issue. So even if it did flew into the pole, it had a lot of issues, you know, leading up to that. Anybody else?
I just want to say I think this was terrific. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really something I
appreciate it.
much about it.